Welcome to the Practice Podcast, a show created by lawyers to help lawyers in life and business without all the complicated lawyer language. Let's welcome Bast Amron founders and your hosts, Jeff Bast and Brett Amron.
Hi, Jeff.
Brett, how are you? Besides being in a separate location from me.
I know. Depressing because I'm not with you. I need, I just need some Jeff. You know what I mean?
You need some Jeff. Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot. People need Jeff.
I hear that a lot. Yeah.
Usually it's a little, I've had too much Jeff, I don't usually I need more Jeff.
Nobody ever says that.
It's like when you order at a restaurant, like, I don't want too much spice. Like, you need a little less Jeff. Can you go easy on the Jeff? No.
I think we just coined a phrase right there. But anyway.
Go easy on the Jeff. Easy on the Jeff. So when you're feeling in need of Jeff and I'm not around, what do you do?
I do have a cardboard cutout of you that I usually carry with me, but I don't have that here with me. It's hard to travel with because it's life size. I feel like I need that. So I do have that in my house. But if I don't have that and I'm otherwise feeling down in the dumps because I don't have enough Jeff, I like a good sweat. I like to go for a run, like to get my heart rate up, do some other stuff, get out for a hike, just be outside generally, and that makes me feel better. How about you, Jeff? What is your method to feeling happier?
You know that for me it's similar, but I'm sweating in the water. I like to get in the water, go for a paddle,
there you go.
Or pick up my guitar, play a little guitar. I've been getting to do some of that. Yesterday I had a very
Do you have your guitar with you? Like, can you play something for us?
I don't have it with me.
Man.
I'm not in.
I feel like that's a podcast episode. Let's note that because I feel like we're going to do that one of these days.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm guest worthy.
Oh, I think so. Not enough Jeff. We need more Jeff. More Jeff for sure. Okay, I think we've had enough Jeff and Brett. Let's talk about our guest because she's patiently waiting here thinking about like who agreed to do this and she's rethinking that right now.
Why am I here?
Why? Right.
Phyllis Sisenwine is our guest today. Phyllis is certified by the International Coaching Federation with the highest designation of Master Certified Coach. She's in the top 4% of the 50,000 credentialed coaches. I think that's in the U.S., but maybe that's worldwide. I don't even know. Oh, it's international. So yeah, worldwide. There you go. She has an international practice providing coaching services to lawyers and law firms who want to achieve greater professional and personal success. For over 25 years, she has worked with lawyers to focus on client development, performance, and profitability. She is a true pioneer in the coaching field. She has even mentored many coaches. So she's the coach to the coaches. She's helped hundreds of professionals become more organized, more focused, more productive. Her methods help clients increase revenue and billable hours while providing time for personal growth. Her expertise in coaching lawyers has earned her an international reputation as the lawyer's coach. Phyllis is also a professional speaker, author, and a past member of the National Speakers Association. She has spoken at conferences and bar associations and law firms across the country, and we are excited to have her on the show today. Welcome, Phyllis.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thanks.
Wow. International.
So, international and coaching lawyers for 25 years. That's
God bless you.
We're going to get into that, but how did you get into that?
Wait. Before we do that, sorry, I do have a question based on what our opening was. Given that you're a coach to lawyers, which is really hard, what do you do to get yourself up and happy after having a session that may not have been?
I sweat. What do you think? Like you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Get in the gym, exercise. No, I love what I do, and I coach very coachable lawyers. So it's always a fun conversation. They're not coachable or they're difficult. We just don't work together. So
nice.
It's really, I'm inspired by I am really inspired.
I want to come back to that because I want to talk about the ones that are not coachable. But before we get to that,
he's looking at me when he said that, by the way.
Oh, because you're already at the peak of your, what could you possibly improve?
Well, this is
anyway.
True.
So how did you find your way to become a coach in the first place and when?
Okay. I sold office supplies for several years and I loved it. I was in sales and I loved it. Staples bought the company and it wasn't fun anymore. And somebody said to me, Phyllis, you ought to consider coaching. Now, this was 25 years ago. And the reason they suggested it was when one of the salesmen lost an account, they'd say, Phyllis, take me to lunch. I need motivation. And I would say, okay, you lost an account. Who's your next prospect? So I didn't realize that that was actually coaching. So somebody suggested coaching. I took 36 courses. I got certified with my master coach certification. And I thought I would coach salespeople. But my third client was a lawyer. And my fourth client was a lawyer. And then I realized lawyers need sales. So I got the domain name, thelawyerscoach.com. And I started to speak at bar associations. Of course, 25 years ago, when I said I was a coach, people would say to me, what sport do you coach? Nobody knew what a business coach was then, but I spoke at bar association and people were so hungry for coaching. People don't have time to mentor like they did years ago. And I would speak to maybe 20 women at the Women in the Profession Committee in Philadelphia or different areas of the Bar Association. And half the people in the room would hire me to be their coach because they needed mentoring. They all had billable hour requirements and they didn't know where to begin with business development. So 25 years ago, I just took off and I've been loving it ever since.
Is it different from your perspective? Is it different coaching a lawyer versus a normal human, an actual human? Or is
an actual
human?
Normal?
Yes, it is different. And people will say, you coach lawyers? Are you kidding me? I said, I love my lawyers. I coach lawyers that are just amazing in integrity and great people who want to grow their practices. So I love what I do.
Do you have to start, I would imagine, first of all, kudos to you you were at probably the beginning stages of this industry now, which, there's so many coaches, just general coaches and now, specific to lawyers.
Absolutely.
But you truly are a trendsetter and probably created this niche.
Thank you.
God bless you've been in it for 25 years. But what do you think is sort of the biggest stumbling block for lawyers to A, agree to hire you and B, agree to listen to you and be coachable? Because the old adage is, lawyers are good at being lawyers, but they're terrible business people. And that's a hard thing to get over and learn.
Well, I have conversations with plenty of lawyers, and the only ones that hire me are the ones that really are willing to take some chances to grow their businesses. They're open. They're open to coaching. They're open to having a consultation. If they're not coachable, of course, they're not even going to want to have a free consultation with me. But we have a conversation. Where are you now? Where do you want to be 1 year from today? It's a good starting point. A year from today, what do you want to say to me? And many of them say, I want to increase my billable hours, or I want to earn more money. I want to work less and vacation more. Whatever it is they want, we collaborate and come up with a plan. And it's from associates to managing partners in the biggest firms. Whatever their goal is, we discuss. And it's all their agenda. Really, I'm not a consultant. Even though I'm a wise woman and I've been doing it a long time, I'll share my experience. But a lot of people lawyers know what they really want. But they're not doing it because they get distracted. They get sidetracked. I've been into law firms where they've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on a weekend of training for all of their partners. They went on a retreat. They spent $100,000 for a trainer. I go into their office. It's all in a binder sitting on their shelf. We take down the binder. They haven't taken action. You can hear an incredible speaker. You're motivated. You leave. You go back to your office and everything gets in the way. So I help them get out of their own way if that's what they really want. You have some marketing ideas. Lawyers are smart. They just don't always know sales and business development. So we collaborate. Some like to speak. Some like to write. Some people are more introverts. Whatever their personality is, whatever they want is what I want for them. And it's just collaborative. So we brainstorm, come up with a plan. They call me every other week and they take action. And the results are incredible. The statistics are so high for any business that hires a coach. They get a tremendous return on their investment. But I love working with lawyers who are coachable. I've gotten several new clients in the last couple of months, and one of them said, I'm overwhelmed. She wasn't delegating enough. So now we talked about, she was working remote half the time. Now she's in the office a little more, delegating a little more. Maybe she has to hire more people. Some people are overwhelmed. Everybody has different needs. But I think the biggest thing in 25 years that I've learned that lawyers really get distracted with is time management. They get interrupted. Every interruption takes 18 to 20 minutes to get back on track. 3 interruptions a day, you've lost an hour. And it's so easy to get interrupted. Oh, I'll check my email. I'll get a cup of coffee. I'll answer the phone. 18 to 20 minutes to get back on track. Just 3 interruptions, you've lost an hour a day. So when they're aware of that, they start to block out time. I'm going to sit at my desk for 2 hours straight. No coffee, no emails. Checking emails, is a distraction. Taking a phone call. Takes 20 minutes to get back on track. An hour a day is a big deal for a lawyer, your billable hour. So they look at their interruptions and they look at possibly delegating. Those are the 2 things in 25 years. Minimize interruptions and delegate. If there's anything, and I discuss it with them, what are you doing if I were to follow you around all day? Are you doing things that you could possibly pay somebody else to do? A paralegal or an associate? Can somebody else be doing it, or are you the only one that has to do that? And that's really it in all these years, delegation and time management.
Yeah, I would imagine that with a lot of lawyers, and probably more so with senior lawyers, that inability, I'm saying inability, but maybe it's unwillingness rather than inability to delegate is a function of, their own confidence. I'm going to be the best at this particular task. No one else is going to do it my way. Or does that get in the way for you?
I coached an intellect. Yeah, I had a Philadelphia lawyer that I coached a few years ago, intellectual property lawyer from Philadelphia. And he said he did everything himself, almost everything himself. And young, bright, great personality. He said, it's easier to do it myself. It's too much trouble to start training somebody. I just can't go. I'm not going to train. Well, we worked together for a year. Gradually, he started to give them a little something, and he kind of kept checking on it and checking on it. Eventually, he started to delegate. His business doubled in a year because he was doing much more business development and not the administrative tasks. But it takes time till you can trust someone that they're going to do it as well as you. And even if it's not as well, you can check on it, but you can't possibly do everything and grow.
Right. So this person that you just talked about, they were resistant to delegation because it takes more work. And I agree with that entirely. Exactly. It does take more work, but you have to, it's a step that you need to take. So he's open to coaching, he or she. They're open to coaching, but not resistant to the steps needed. Is that a unique contradiction there that someone's, they need to grow, but they just don't know how? Or
right. But it's not really that unique because we all know what to do. Most people, lawyers are smart. They know what to do, but things get in the way. And that's where the coaching conversation gives clarity. And even though it took him a while until he finally started to delegate, he's a raving. He wrote me a testimonial that was phenomenal because he started to travel more and do more and just grow his business because he felt more confident that he could, and he had good people to delegate to. Of course, you need good people. So, so that's really definitely something that I work with on my clients. Is there anything that you could possibly delegate?
Right.
Phyllis, is there a specific type of client? Obviously, lawyer, I get that, and a lawyer that's open, right, to being coached and coachable. But in terms of size of practice, type of practice, in other words, is it a firm like ours where you've got, 15 lawyers, or can you coach somebody who is at a big law firm that also is looking to grow their practice?
I have, in all these years, I've coached solos. I have one solo who's a raving fan of mine now. He had one person, now he has 50 people working for him. But that was his choice in all these years to grow, 5 satellite offices. But some people are solos and want to stay solo. At the moment, I am not coaching any solos, but I'm coaching. Well, that's not true. I have a few that have two or three lawyers in their firm, very small firm with a few paralegals, actually in Florida that I've met in our networking group. So I am coaching a few very small firm, and I've coached and I still coach managing partners with hundreds of lawyers. The biggest firms, I'm originally from Philadelphia, so I started my business in Philadelphia, speaking at the Bar Association, from the women in the profession to the solos to the minorities. So I became very well known in Philadelphia and coached in every big firm. And I spoke at most big firms in Philly, from managing partners to partners who just want to work less hours and want to delegate more. I've coached people with an exit strategy from big firms in Philadelphia and other cities too. It takes a couple of years until you retire. Want to make sure your clients are well taken care of. Introducing your associate or your new partner to your clients, that takes a few years. So I work with people who are retiring, work with young associates who want to grow and become partner. and worked with them. So it's a big, big range. Anybody that really has goals and they're willing to have a coach by their side, because not only do I give them some strategies, but mostly it's accountability.
Yeah.
And when you're a runner or you're an exerciser, if you say, okay, I'm going to run 10 miles, I'm going to run with you, or I'm going to check in with you tomorrow and tell you how many miles I ran. You're more likely to do it when you have that accountability. And that's a big, big part of coaching. It's
They don't want to let you down.
Exactly. Because you're paying for it and you really want it. If you didn't want it, we wouldn't start out to begin with. So you say you have a goal. I'm going to increase my business and I'm going to work a little smarter. I'm going to delegate more. And then you check in with me a week or two later, and you'll make those calls the morning of our session. If you committed, you're going to call 5 inactive clients that day. You'll call them if we have a 1 o'clock appointment. Guess what? I made my calls this morning, but they're happy that they did it. Looking at inactive clients or past clients or referral sources, whatever it is that they want for business development. By making a commitment to me, they're more likely to do it.
Is there one thing or a series of things that you hear from lawyers when you first meet with them? What's their hesitation? Like, what's their main sort of stumbling block
as far as not hiring me? Well, once
they hire you, then you sit down and talk with them and you say, okay, yeah.
There are no stumbling blocks. Everybody I talk to hires me. No, I'm kidding.
No, but once they hire you, once they hire you and they say, okay, now you're talking to them and what's their main stumbling block? Like you said, one of the things is delegation is the main issue, right? A lot of lawyers have a hard time with delegation because they know, right? And she's holding up a book to our listener. Follow through. Go ahead, tell us.
Yeah.
Most people have the best intentions in the world. They don't follow through.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to run 10 miles or you're going to lose 20 pounds, or you're going to get more business, or you're going to give more speeches. People don't, it's just not a natural way to follow through. People have the best intentions and they don't follow up. Most people know what they want. Oh, I can call these people. I can give speeches. I can travel. And then life gets in the way. So by having a coach, the accountability and support, I think, is the big difference. It really is the big difference.
So Phyllis raised the book.
It's funny because I was talking to somebody last week and they said, what were your favorite books? And they're old classics. I know the new ones, all about it. But I got my old books, which is How to Become a Rainmaker. It's an old classic, but it's just basic tips on how to. I love that old.
Become a rainmaker, but the one you showed is following
through. It's not a natural ability to follow through. We have the best intentions. How many people buy a stationary bike and they use it for their clothes? It becomes a clothes rack. Buy that bike, even a Peloton, for a lot of money. They want to do it, but they just don't follow through. It's just not a natural instinct. I think one of the examples in this book, it's an old book, but I just happened to pull it out the other day. You're going to lose weight. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. No more chocolate chip cookies. I'm done. You go to the mall. All of a sudden, you smell those chocolate chip cookies. I know I said I wasn't going to have any more cookies, but I want one more cookie. And there it is. You have the best intentions, but we don't follow through. And that's where coaching comes in, because you have accountability. You tell me what you're going to do this week and you're going to follow through most of the time. And if you don't, I'll tell my clients, it's okay. It's not a race. Everybody has a different pace that they're going to go. Some people are real fast and I could be the kick butt coach with them, and others soft, listen, slow, whatever the client wants. It's not a race. It's not a normal. Most people don't follow through. You have the best intentions. So that's where the coaching really helps out a lot.
Now, you mentioned before something that I think is key to this. You said that part of the accountability is that they're paying for the coaching. They're paid to have you on board, and so they feel a need to comply with, whatever commitments they make to you. Does it matter, or do you think it's less effective when, for example, a firm says we're going to hire a coach for you as an associate, young associate who's growing up and is being groomed
very good partner,
and they hire a coach, and so that attorney doesn't have any skin in the game?
You're absolutely right. It's a very good question, and I always interview the person that they want me to coach to make sure that they're really excited about it. It's a perk. You're given a coach, it's a perk. And true story, a week ago, somebody reached out to me from LinkedIn. And he said, Phyllis, I have somebody in my firm. She's got a great personality. I don't know what's stopping her. She's not bringing in business. She's with me 2 years. I don't know what's getting in the way. Will you talk to her? I said, sure, I will. He said, okay, I'll give her your information. A couple of days go by, I never hear from her. little more, never hear from her. So I wrote to him. I said, I haven't heard from her. Can I reach out? He said, okay. And I did. And then, I'm so glad you reached out. Let's talk. I have a conversation with her. I think she sounds great. Give her a couple of ideas. She's going to go to a networking event. She said, I really need you because I really don't follow through. We made another appointment. I reached out to him. He said, I'm going to wait until she reaches out to me. Then he sends me an email. She decided she doesn't want coaching. So I wrote to him, I said, now you know why she's not bringing in business. She has such potential. Yeah. She had maybe she was afraid. I don't know what got in the way. This is a week ago in Florida, but it's like she just was afraid of the commitment. And meanwhile, she has such potential. I would love to work with her, but she just chickened out. And it's very unusual when your boss gets you a coach and you say no. Very unusual. But of course, it's much better when the client comes to me and he wants it or she wants it. But when the firm hires me, it's a perk. And I do have a conversation with them. And I do tell the client it is confidential. I mean, I'll go back to your boss and say how it's going and if the money is being well spent. But I want them to know that it's a confidential conversation. So firms definitely hire me for their look. Somebody just called me last week, and a client of mine, and he said, I have 2 people I want you to talk to. I said, great. He said, I'm going to talk to the powers that be and get back to you. He asked what my fee was, and I hope to work with him again. Great guy, worked with years ago. Right. So people definitely do come to me and want me to coach people in their firm, and they're not always receptive.
I imagine for some, it's just a function of timing. Like that young lawyer woman that you mentioned, she may come back to you at some point, right? Because
I would think so. I mean, our conversation was really great. I gave her some ideas. She was going to go to a Chamber of Commerce the next day, and then she just, chickened out. So we'll see what happens. I would think it would be frustrating for her boss because he wanted me to work with her. He offered her a gift of coaching, and I don't know how he felt when she said, I don't want coaching, but we'll see what happens. Maybe she will come back.
I mean, a lot of the things you're with this young woman and a lot of things you're mentioning, like stopping from eating the chocolate chip cookie or getting on a Peloton or a bike, those are hard things to do, right? Otherwise, it's one of the things I say in my house is like to my kids is if success were easy, everyone would be successful, right? So it's hard and it adds a lot to their plate, or at least that's their thought process. And on the front end, it's a lot of work. And you have to have this vision, right? That it's a marathon. You say it's not a race, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And it's something you have to do all the time. You can never stop. So because, that's how you grow as a lawyer, it's how you grow a firm, all this stuff. And it's hard. And I can imagine, I know for me, I jumped into the pool with 2 feet because I left my own firm before Jeff and I got together. And like Jeff, he did the same thing. We really had no choice, right? We had no option. It is hard, but having somebody like you and holding people accountable, would be a great thing. And I would hope that if any firm hired you for somebody else, that person would feel grateful.
Most are.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is fresh to my mind. This was just last week. It was like, really? She chickened out? But most people are very appreciative, absolutely very appreciative. Yeah. But as far as, it's a race or how to do it, there's an old riddle. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that's what I tell my clients. How do you reach your goals? One call at a time, one meeting at a time. People are uncomfortable networking or speaking. To me, speaking is the best marketing strategy. You're the expert. When I started coaching, my coach said to me, Phyllis, you go to a networking event, you meet 5 people. You're the speaker, you meet everybody. So I started speaking, and then I spoke at bar associations, and somebody said to me, Phyllis, what do you charge to speak? Okay. No. So I said, what's your budget? And I pleasantly surprised when they had a very nice budget, and I became a paid speaker. So I joined the National Speakers Association. And I continued to speak at bar associations and law firms, but I also spoke at conferences. But it's a great marketing strategy. So I also help my clients, if they're comfortable with it, to give speeches and how to get a client from a free speech. I mean, I have clients who traveled around the country, especially before COVID. They go to conferences and they give a speech. They show up, they speak, they leave, and they don't get business from it. You need a strategy before you speak, during, and after, whether it's a free one or you're getting paid. Before you show up to speak, get the attendee list. See who's coming. Have an agenda. Have a plan. What I do before I speak at a bar association, I ask to interview 3 people that are going to be there. And I say, what do you want to get out of this program? And when I walk into the room, hi, Phyllis, you're the one I spoke to. I spoke to you about. They feel like they're helping me create my program. And sometimes I do add a few things based on the audience. So before you speak, that's what I always recommend. Get the attendee list and try to talk to a few people before you even show up. You're building a relationship. During your speech, then you weave in a client's success story, definitely, so that they can relate to it. I have a lawyer who was was struggling with business development, and we had a conversation, and he started to feel more comfortable networking. You weave in a success story that they can relate to. And then at the end of the speech, follow up, follow up, follow up. This is a little old school, but I would take a little basket with me and pass around anybody. I have a door prize. I would either have a book or I would have a free month of coaching, depending on my timing. You get a book or a free month of coaching. Take out your business card and write on the back, coaching if you're interested in a complimentary session with me. Speech, if you know another group that would like me to come and speak to them, or newsletter, sign up for my newsletter. And if people didn't have business cards with them, I had blanks with me. So there was no excuse for not putting in your business card. And then they would write on the back of the card, everybody signed up for my newsletter. Half the people wanted me to give them a complimentary session, and maybe 4 or 5 would have another speech for me out of that one. So it's really a great marketing strategy, but you need to have a good plan before, during, and after to maximize public speaking.
I love that. And I think, a lot of lawyers, even when you're attending just attending a conference, not speaking, you should have some strategy that's similar to that. Doesn't, obviously you're not
absolutely
handing out, giving door prizes, but what a great strategy. And I think just having a strategy is so critical.
Absolutely. When you go to a networking event, when you go anywhere, what's your plan? It's nice to go to a chamber of commerce or a bar association or Florida bar, any of the, organizations, a provisors meeting, any meeting at all that you're going to. You need a plan before you show up to really maximize your membership to any group. So that's what I work with my clients on. And networking is foreign to many of them. They went to law school and they didn't network, or they didn't think of themselves as networkers. And I remember I had one client several years ago, and he said, I am so uncomfortable at the thought of walking into a room of strangers. So my tip is go early. If you're one of the first people there, it's less intimidating. If you walk into a room with 100 people, it can be, who am I going to talk to first? Where am I going to stand? But if you're one of the first people there, it's much easier. So go early. And he did. And the next day he called me, Phyllis, I met somebody from law school and we had the best time. And he was so happy. It was the first time he went to a networking event. And now he became much more comfortable. But if you go early, it's not as overwhelming.
I like that. I've never heard that one, but I think that's a great idea.
It's true. I mean, even me, I'm friendly and outgoing, but if I walk into a room with 100 people and another with networking, when 2 people are speaking, never interrupt. They might be doing business. Only interrupt when it's 3 or more. So you look for a little cluster or 3 or 4 people, then you can join the crowd. But if it's one-on-one, they might be doing business. So I would never interrupt them. So there's a lot of advice. Wow. Networking skills. Follow up, of course, the next day. Always wear your name tag on your right shoulder. So when you shake someone's hand, that's where they look. All the years with working with lawyers, networking was an important part. Now, I spoke around the country for years and COVID hit and everything stopped. And I did not embrace Zoom at first. I said, I don't want to speak to a computer. So I stayed back a little bit, and my MCC, which is a big deal in the coaching world, was expiring this past December, just 6 months ago. And it's like, do I renew it? All these hours of continuing education? And I said, yes, it's too big to let it go. So once I renewed my MCC just 6 months ago, I thought, now I've got to get out there again. So I am now the Zoom queen. I avoided Zoom, and now I'm on Zoom every single day. And I just gave a speech I speak to all lawyers, but I was asked to speak to financial planners. They were in Chicago. I was in Boston, and I gave a speech to financial advisors. Similar to what lawyers need and want, very similar to what their goals were. It was the Advanced Planners Conference in Chicago. So
some
now
great nuggets here, Phyllis.
Thank you.
Some great nuggets for our listeners. And I have no doubt that people that are listening are going to say, I need Phyllis.
Thank you.
Yeah, Phyllis, we want to hear about the success stories from all of our listeners who call in to coach with you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Of course. No, it's great meeting both of you. I've listened to some of your podcasts, and I enjoy your little chit chat back back and forth, and your guests. It's always very interesting. So I appreciate the opportunity to meet both of you. And I'm on Phyllis Sisenwine LinkedIn. I'm the only Phyllis Sisenwine out there. So anybody wants to reach me, that would be great.
And it's thelawyerscoach.com, and that'll be in the show notes. And thanks, Phyllis. Jeff's going to read us out.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review. Hopefully 5 stars. Share the show with your friends and family and colleagues, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much for being here, Phyllis, and thank you, Brett, for being
Phyllis.
my partner.
Thank you. It's really
and
fun.
Nelson, for being you, for keeping us in order.
Thanks, Jeffrey. I miss you.
For more information on this show and other resources, visit bastamron.com and connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram at Bast Amron.